Mikael Holm sliding and spinning. Look, oh, there's a crash. Martin Kadlecik scores a victory. Tomáš Pekář in the gravel, there was a crash in the opening corner. Three-way fight now along the pit straight, wonderful stuff going on. Martin Kadlecik becoming this season's Renault Clio Cup champion. So is Tomáš Pekář in the Mark V class. There's a crash already. Oh, that's a big one right at the start. And now he's absolutely dominated the 2023 Clio Cup, having won absolutely everything.
Hello and welcome back to the Red Bull Ring, Styria, Austria. The second round of the FIA Central European Zone Championship 2024 season is underway, and we are going to watch the second race of the weekend of Renault Clio Cup. The first race earlier today definitely provided some good action for the fans, and I believe the second race will be no different. I believe one more time it will be action-packed racing from the start till the very last corner. Actually, we saw a great fight by Martin Kadlecik, or between Martin Kadlecik and another Czech driver, Tomáš Pekář. And even though Martin Kadlecik is not racing in TCC 2, but in TCC 1 he managed to be overall the fastest driver on the track and crossed the finish line on the first place. But anyway, of course, the most important thing is to think about the fact that the Renault Clio Cup is divided into the two class categories, or we can say into the two classes. The first is, as I said, TCC 1 for the older cars, Renault Clio Cup 4, and the second class is TCC 2 for the latest generation, for the Renault Clio Cup 5. And both classes have their own podium ceremony. So for the drivers starting in each class, it's only important to fight against the drivers in their own class. So this is not the fight for the overall victory. You need to be focused on the drivers, on the other competitors driving against you in your class. So you want to be a winner of TCC 1, or you want to be a winner of TCC 2. There is no overall classification, there is no overall podium, so taking the victory, taking the class victory, that's the only thing that matters here in Renault Clio Cup. And I believe one more time we're gonna have a great race. And one more time it should be a great race and great battle also between the Czech drivers. But let's check the grid for the race 2 starting on the first place. It's with number 44, Ivan Pulic. Next to him on P2 with number 96, it's Bartolomiej Mirecki. The Czech ace, Tomáš Pekaš, starting from P3. David Zivok, Polish driver, starting from P4. Behind them from P5, it is Nik Stefancic, the Slovenian driver. Next to him on P6, it's Julian Smiechowski. Behind them on P7, it's Filip Bartoš. Next to him on P8, it's Henrik Seibel. Then behind them on P9, it's Nico Wüst. And next to him, it is Reto Wüst on P10. So that's the top 10. And these are the top 10 drivers after the qualifying session. We have 28 drivers on the grid. Or I'm sorry, we have 28 drivers. We have 28 spots occupied, but there is, of course, there is a line between the TCC2 class and TCC1 class. We have an empty row 12, and that's the reason why the last driver is standing on 28th place, even though we have less drivers on the grid. Actually, it should be 23, and I'm much curious if we're gonna see two yellow Clio cars, because one of the Clios from TCC1 had a bad crash just before the race one. It was young Slovakian driver Marko Kazarka who crashed his car during the sighting lap on the back straight from the turn 3 onwards. So it was quite unfortunate moment from the young Slovakian driver. And I saw the car in the paddock, and I must say it was not in a good condition. So it's quite possible that Marko Kazarka won't be ready to start this race. You can see the difference between the latest Clio Cup 5 and the older Clio Cup 4. It's basically the design difference between the previous and the latest generation of this car, which you can buy for, let's say, the road legal purpose. We can see the marshal with the green flag, so the race is about to begin. 25 minutes of racing again, and here we go. It is Ivan Pulic from the first place, and the driver with number 44 keeps his first position through the turn 1. One more time, many drivers going off the track in the turn 1, but there was no contact, no crash. That's always a good news. So no safety car after the start of the race, but there will be a huge fight into the turn 3. 3 wide into the turn 3. Tomáš Pekaš in his orange Clio between the two other drivers. And let's check the standings. So right now it is still Ivan Pulic leading the race on the back straight, and behind him it is Tomáš Pekaš fighting the others, going from the outside and going off to the gravel. And this is big moment for the Czech driver Tomáš Pekaš, who is off the track. And Tomáš Pekaš lost a lot of positions. Pretty unfortunate start of the race for the Czech ace, and another driver off the track. That was a very close fight, and it was number 9. I'm sorry, it was number 29, David Zivok, fighting for the P3 right now. So let's wait for the end of the first lap. Still very safe position for Ivan Pulic, who is still the leader of the race, but then there is a huge fight for the second place between another two cars. You can see the 96 of Bartolomiej Mirecki just ahead of David Zivok, and These two Polish drivers are side by side into the turn 1. Plus, there is Julian Smiechowski in his older Clio with number 68. It's a great fight for the second place overall. And of course, fight for the second place in a TCC2 class. These two drivers are still going side by side, and it will be tough fight into the turn 3. It should be David Zivok on the inside. Yes, it is the Polish driver with number 29. So David Zivok just ahead of Julian Smiechowski. Behind them, there are other two drivers fighting each other. Oh, there's a mistake! There is a mistake from David Zivok. And that was a good news for Bartolomiej Mirecki with the car number 96, because that means Bartolomiej Mirecki is back in the fight for second place, and I guess that Bartolomiej Mirecki is on P2 right now, just ahead of David Zivok. And behind these two, there's still Julian Smiechowski driving his orange and white 68 car. Meanwhile, Ivan Pulic is doing a great job up in the front, and he is still making the gap between him and the car on the second place bigger and bigger, corner after corner. This is great situation for Ivan Pulic, because there is no danger for him so far as the others fighting each other. So it is Ivan Pulic ahead of David Zivok, behind him Bartolomiej Mirecki, behind Mirecki it is Julian Smiechowski, and then it is Nick Stefancic on P5, one of the cars off the track. But one more time, that's pretty common situation outside of the turn 1. There is a huge asphalt zone, which I would say invites the drivers to go in there. But of course, then the warning for track limits comes. So all the drivers needs to be careful. And again, a battle between Julian Smiechowski and Nick Stefancic. Nick Stefancic driving his number 7 from the outside, and he's trying to pass Julian Smiechowski. It is a great battle between the Slovenian and the Polish driver right now. The Slovenian still going from the outside, and the next corner is to the left. So this is a good news for Nick Stefancic, who managed to pass Julian Smiechowski. So it's P4 for the Slovenian, who knows this track very well. He has been testing here many times. He has been racing here also for the Slovenian championship title, and another fight between the two cars. This number 44 of Ivan Pulic, which means this is a fight for the first place out of nowhere. Out of nowhere came David Zivok, and right now it is a great battle for the first place between Ivan Pulic and David Zivok. Look how close to the wall they are. Into the first corner again, less than 20 minutes to go, 19 minutes to go, and the battle is on. One more time, Renault Clio Cup delivers a great action for all the race fans around the world. And let's watch this, because this is the fight for the first place. Ivan Pulic lost his advantage over the rest of the field, and right now he needs to be defensive. And one more time, watch the fight between Ivan Pulic and David Zivok. And Ivan Pulic is already on a second place because he's driving the 44 car, which means that David Zivok is ahead of him. So great job by David Zivok, who overtook Ivan Pulic absolutely out of nowhere. There was a huge gap between Ivan Pulic and the rest of the field. But then suddenly it was David Zivok attacking the leading driver, and he was successful. So right now we have a new leader of the race. It's a David Zivok ahead of Ivan Pulic. Then it should be Bartolomiej Mirecki, but let's wait. Let's wait for the main straight. We will check on the gaps again. It is Ivan Pulic on second place, and he needs to defend his position again, because there is Martin Kadlecik. Martin Kadlecik is overtaking Ivan Pulic into the first corner one more time. Great job by the Czech driver, driving his older Renault Clio Cup 4, which means Martin Kadlecik is one more time leading the DCC 1 class, and I believe he has a great chance to score another victory today in DCC 1 class, because Martin Kadlecik is just so fast here, and we have the Czech driver on a second place overall, behind David Zivok and behind Martin Kadlecik. It will be another big fight between Ivan Pulic and the others, but look at the Czech driver who is taking the overall lead right now. So one more time it is Martin Kadlecik leading the race, and of course what is most important for him, he is leading his DCC 1 class. So far this has been a great Saturday for the Czech fast driver. This is the first race weekend of Clio Cup for Martin Kadlecik this season, because on Balaton Park he was racing in DCR Eastern Europe, and for Red Bull Ring he switched back to Renault Clio Cup, and as you can see he is enjoying himself behind the steering wheel quite a lot. He's definitely the fastest man on track right now, so Martin Kadlecik is in the lead, and he is leading the DCC 1 class. Behind him it is David Zivok leading the DCC 2 class for Carpex service team. And let's check the others. Behind David Zivok it is Ivan Pulic, then it's Bartolomiej Mirecki, then it's Nick Stefancic, then it's Julian Smiechowski on P6, Tomáš Pekař on P7, Nico Wüst on P8, Reto Wüst on P9, and Marko Blaževský on P10. We also need to speak about Tomáš Pekař one more time, because Tomáš Pekař made a big mistake at the beginning of the race during the, I believe it was the first lap, when Tomáš Pekař was forced to go off to the gravel zone and lost a lot of positions. But one more time, look at the Czech ace, how quick he can be behind the wheel of his orange Renault Clio Cup 5, and he is overtaking the others one by one, lap by lap, corner by corner. Tomáš Pekař is going back, and he is taking his lost positions back. I believe Tomáš Pekař is already on P6, and you can see number 68 of Julian Smiechowski behind him. Yes, that means that Tomáš Pekař is already on P6, as he overtook his Polish rival. Less than 14 minutes to go, and we are starting another lap right now. Martin Kadlecik is doing a really great job up in the front, leading the field with advantage of almost 2 seconds ahead of David Zivok. Ivan Pulic behind him, Bartolomiej Mirecki on P4, Nick Stefancic on P5, Tomáš Pekař on P6, Julian Smiechowski on P7, Nico Wüst on P8, Reto Wüst on P9, and Marko Blaževský on P10. These are the top 10 positions at the moment. 13 minutes to go. 13 minutes to the checkered flag, and one more time. This is a great race, just as was the first one in the morning. And look at Tomáš Pekař again. The Czech driver is taking another place. This is the fight between the Czech driver and the Slovenian Nik Stefancic. And Tomáš Pekař is keeping the inside line, but right now he will be going from the outside, so this is a bit of a disadvantage for the Czech driver. So Nik Stefancic is still ahead of him, but the fight goes on between Pekař and Stefancic. And that was a mistake from the Slovenian driver, which means that Tomáš Pekař is ahead of him. So another successful battle for the Czech driver. And behind him it's Nik Stefancic defending his position, but the car behind is from another class. So basically that's not a big problem for Stefancic, but anyway, he needs to stay close to Pekař if he wants to remain in the fight. And as you can see, the Slovenian driver has to do everything he can to remain ahead of the car behind him. But look at this fight just ahead of Tomáš Pekař. It's a fight between Bartoloměj Mirecký and Ivan Pulic, side by side into the turn number 3. It was Pulic from the outside with number 44, and there will be maybe a better exit for Tomáš Pekař. These two are still fighting, so Tomáš Pekař, now he has a chance to overtake them both. And that's what is he going to do. Another great move from the Czech driver Tomáš Pekař, who overtook Bartoloměj Mirecký and Ivan Pulic at only one corner. And now he's keeping the inside line. There's a quite tough battle between these two, between Pekař and Mirecký. But right now again it is Mirecký versus Pulic, and Pulic went off into the gravel. So that was a big mistake. And behind Pulic there was a Nik Stefancic ready to fight, so Ivan Pulic is losing another place. We are on the main straight again, and exactly 10 minutes to go. Martin Kadlecik leading the way. And there is a gap of 4 seconds between him and David Zivok. Tomáš Pekař on P3, which means the P2 in DCC2 class. Tomáš Pekař is one more time doing miracles on a racetrack. What a great driver he is. But we need to be focused on this battle. Tomáš Pekař is just ahead of Bartoloměj Mirecký. And Bartoloměj Mirecký is not willing to give up his position. Definitely not. So the battle is not over yet. But anyway, it was a great comeback from Tomáš Pekař, who has lost so many places at the beginning of the race. But right now he's back on P3 overall and back on P2 in DCC2 class. So great performance by Czech driver. And there is a 5 seconds gap between the leader of DCC2 class, David Zivok, and Czech driver Tomáš Pekař on second place. So that's the question. If is it possible for Tomáš Pekař to chase down David Zivok in or during the remaining 8 minutes and 15 seconds of the race. So Martin Kadlecik is leading the race and the DCC1 class with more than a 4 seconds advantage over David Zivok on second place. Tomáš Pekař behind him, and behind Tomáš Pekař is Bartoloměj Mirecki. Behind Mirecki it's Nick Stefancic leading the group of 3, and it could be a big fight between Stefancic, Smiechowski and Pulic. There are 4 seconds between Zivok and Pekař. There is a penalty of 2 seconds for abusing the track limits for number 48. Number 48, it's Retovist on P9, so there will be 2 seconds added. But look at this fight. It's number 777. It is Nikodem Sobčík in the big group fighting for P14 at the moment. So it's a big fight down in the field. I say down in the field, but anyway, it's still very much exciting. Six minutes to go at the moment. And you can see the number 777 of Nikodem Sobčík fighting with the others in this big group of cars. Let's wait for the live timing. We are on the main straight again. So it is Nikodem Sobčík on P12 at the moment, which means that Nikodem Sobčík gained 3 positions during the last lap. So it is Sobčík ahead of Jaka Marinček, ahead of Marko Blaževský, ahead of Walter Nežič, and then it's a Henrik Seibel on P16, Michal Primožič on P17 and Filip Bartoš on P18. That's a big group of cars fighting here, and there is another close fight between Marko Blaževský and Jaka Marinček. So it's a fight for P13. Oh, there was a contact between number 55 and 211, which means a contact between Walter Nežič and Marko Blaževský. That was a fight for P14, and again the fight still goes on. Also you can see 2 orange Carpex service cars from DCC1 class. Or no, I'm sorry, these are the new Clios, of course, I beg your pardon. These are the new cars, which mean DCC2 class, and we have a yellow flag. So what happened on the track? We don't see a reason for yellow flag at the moment, but most likely there was a spun car or something like that, because the yellow flag was removed, and the track is green again with 3 minutes and 50 seconds remaining. Closer look at Martin Kadlecik leading this race with monstrous advantage over David Zivok. And look at this fight between Henrik Seibel and Filip Bartoš, the 2 Carpex service cars. It's a fight for P16 and P17 overall. Meanwhile, Martin Kadlecik is still racing his own race. Still going very fast up in the front with the advantage of almost 4 seconds ahead of David Zivok, but the only important competitor for Martin Kadlecik is at the moment René Leutenegger, who is on P9 and at the same moment on P2 and or in TCC1 class, and from Kadlecik's point of view, he is far away, so it's still very good position for Czech driver Martin Kadlecik, who is going to win this race in TCC1 class, and it will be a clean sweep of Saturday for Czech driver Martin Kadlecik, as he is racing no one at the moment. Another fight between Bartolomiej Mirecki and Nick Stefancic. This is for P4 overall and P3 in TCC2 class, so it is important fight for the Slovenian driver, because right now Nick Stefancic is actually on P4 in TCC2 class, and he has a chance to get himself onto the podium, and that's what he wants to do, of course, but there is only 1 minute and 10 seconds left in this race, so not much time has left for Nick Stefancic to overtake Bartolomiej Mirecki. Look at his battle one more time. Mirecki behind the wheel of car number 96. Stefancic behind him in car number 7. Meanwhile, only 45 seconds to go for everybody, including Martin Kadlecik, still leading the race. He has slowed down a bit in the last laps. The advantage or the gap between Kadlecik and Zivok is 2 seconds and 6/10 of a second at the moment, 2.6 at the moment between Kadlecik and Zivok, and it was up to 4 seconds a few minutes ago, so clearly Kadlecik is controlling his position right now, and he is not going that fast anymore just because it's not necessary for him. His position is very good, and the time is up, and I believe this is the last lap of the race. This should be a last lap of the race. Let's check it. Yes, it is confirmed by the race control. The leader of the race is in the last lap, so last corners for Czech driver Martin Kadlecik leading the way, and Martin Kadlecik is going to win also the second race of the weekend here on Red Bull Ring, Austria. So it is really great performance by this Czech driver, and let's welcome him on the main straight. Last corner for Czech driver Martin Kadlecik, who is going to win the TCC1 class again. Great performance by the Czech driver. Checkered flag is out, and also the checkered flag for David Zivok, who is the winner of TCC2 class. So both winners are in the finish. Tomáš Pekař on P3 overall, which means P2 in TCC2 class for Czech driver. René Leutenegger is on P4 overall, which means P2 in TCC1 class behind Martin Kadlecik for René Leutenegger. P5 for Bartolomiej Mirecki, which means P3 in TCC2 class. Behind him it's Nick Stefancic, Ivan Pulic, Julian Smichovsky, Nico Vist, Filip Kunčer, Reto Vist, Walter Nežič on P12, and Walter Nežič is taking the P3, the final spot on the podium in TCC1 class. So also great performance by him. Then it's Nikodem Sobčík, Marko Blaževský, Jaka Marinček, Henrik Seibel, Miha Primožič, Filip Bartoš, Dejan Robida, Katarzyna Terlikovská, Ivan Centič, Ondřej Fekete, Tomáš Kazarka, Peter Palotaš and Ivan Gustin. These two drivers, I believe, were forced to retire during the race, so we have 24 cars in the finish. Also Peter Palotas took the checkered, and also Ivan Gustin takes the checkered flag. So we have all 25 drivers in the finish. So the race is over. And one more time we can celebrate our winners: Martin Kadlecik in DCC1 class and David Zivok in DCC2 class. Two action-packed races of Renault Clio Cup here on Red Bull Ring Austria. And still, we have more action to go during the rest of the weekend. We still have the Endurance GT race ahead of us, so let's stay with us. And for now, I say thank you and goodbye.